They found Mina waiting by the service gate before dawn, arms crossed against the cold, refusing to pretend this wasn't goodbye. "You weren't going to leave without me seeing you off," she said, and it wasn't a question. "Wasn't planning to," 𝓼𝓻𝓂 admitted, throat tight. Mina hugged her hard enough to hurt, then pulled back and pointed a warning finger at 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪. "You take care of her, and yourself, I mean it." "I know how to survive," 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪 said, the kitten mewling against her collarbone. "Turns out I'm figuring out how to do the other part too." Mina's eyes went glassy. She didn't say the thing about maybe not seeing them again. None of them could afford to say it out loud. So instead she pressed a folded 20 into 𝓼𝓻𝓂's palm, said, "For emergencies, idiot," and stepped back before her voice could break. They ran. The next days blurred into motels paid for in cash, a stolen hour of sleep in the back of a rented car. The kitten curled asleep in the crook of 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪's elbow like she'd always belonged there. They were careful, quiet, half a step ahead of nothing they could name. Until the third night, when a familiar silhouette leaned against the motel's cracked vending machine like he'd been waiting for them to notice him first. "You're bad at disappearing," Aizawa said. 𝓼𝓻𝓂's whole body went rigid. "How?" "I've been tracking cash withdrawals from a card I know you forgot to cancel," he said, unimpressed. "You're not in trouble. Not from me, anyway. The League lost your trail 3 days ago, twice bought you more time than either of you realize. But sleeping in cars isn't a life, and I have an idea that isn't running forever." 𝓼𝓻𝓂 looked at 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪. 𝓞𝓬𝓱 looked at the kitten, at the cracked parking lot, at the version of a future that had, until this moment, only existed as a maybe. "What kind of idea?" 𝓞𝓬𝓱 asked, careful, like the question itself might be a trap. "The kind where you walk back through the front gate instead of the wall," Aizawa said, "and where you stop being someone we're hiding." Class 1, A went silent when they walked in. 𝓼𝓻𝓂 felt it land in her chest, every head turning, every breath held, Bakugo's hand tightening at his side, Ida's jaw working through something he didn't say. Deku's eyes found 𝓼𝓻𝓂's, hurt and searching, and she made herself hold his gaze instead of looking away. It was 𝓞𝓬𝓱 who broke the silence, of all people, stepping forward with the kitten cradled against her like a shield and a confession both. "I know what you all think you know," she said, voice steadier than 𝓼𝓻𝓂 had ever heard it. "I was in it because it was the only place anyone ever wanted me the way I actually was. Not fixed, not managed, just wanted. That's not an excuse, it's just true." She swallowed hard. "I don't expect you to forgive it. I just needed you to know it wasn't nothing to me, choosing to walk away from that. And this ugly little thing found me the same week I decided I wanted to be found too. So maybe that means something, or maybe it doesn't. But I'm done pretending I know the difference between rescue and coincidence." The kitten mewed, loud in the quiet room, and someone near the back, 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪, of all people, let out a startled laugh that broke like a dropped glass. It shouldn't have helped. It did. Aizawa stood by the door with his arms crossed, saying nothing, letting the silence do the work he wasn't going to do for her. "She's not asking for your trust today," he said finally. "She's asking for a chance to earn it. That's all any of you had when you walked in here on day 1. Nobody moved for a long moment. Then 𝓼𝓻𝓂 crossed the room first, because she'd promised herself weeks ago she'd never again be the one hanging back, and put her arms around 𝓞𝓬𝓱, kitten and all, right there in front of everyone who had ever called 𝓞𝓬𝓱 a monster. Mina was next, quick and fierce, muttering, "You better not make me regret this," against 𝓞𝓬𝓱's shoulder. And then, slowly, the rest of the room unstuck itself. Tsuyu first, quiet and matter-of-fact. Kirishima loud about it, grinning like he'd been waiting for permission to be kind. Even Bakugo only grunted and looked away, which from him was practically an embrace. Days passed differently after that. 𝓞𝓬𝓱 got her own dorm room, small and sunlit, with a window that didn't need a bookshelf pulled in front of it. At lunch, kids 𝓼𝓻𝓂 barely knew came by just to talk, to ask about the kitten, to sit across from a girl they'd once only seen through security footage and warnings. Toga named the kitten Pink Floaty, for no reason she'd ever properly explain, and it slept curled against her collarbone during study hall like it had never known another home. Achako, Mina, and Pink Floaty became a fixture at her side, a small, stubborn constellation that refused to let her drift back into the dark alone. Some nights Toga still flinched at loud noises, still counted exits out of habit. But more nights than not, she laughed, really laughed, at something Mina said, or something Achako teased her about, and the sound filled the dorm room like it belonged there. It wasn't forgiveness, not all at once. But it was a beginning, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, Toga let herself believe a beginning was allowed to be hers.